Hi, it's Wednesday. It's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked, brought to you by Together 2012. We're a community interest company based in the main Paralympic 2012 host borough of Newham. We're run by disabled artists. I'm one of them. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90, and I'm artistic director of Together 2012. With me, where she's been locked down for over 12 months now, but we can't work out the exact date, is our chair, the artist and campaigner, Julie Newman. She's going to introduce herself properly in a minute with some audio description for us both. But first, the other end of the long virtual wheeled sofa in the West Midlands. Let's have some introduction and audio description from the guys.
I think we need our sofa to be a bit longer today because for some reason we've lost half for Josh. Or shorter, one of the two. Anyway, so good afternoon from Sutton Coldfield in the West Midlands. I am Robin Surgeoner. I'm business director at Together 2012 and an artist known as Angry Fish also. So I'll give you a bit of audio description. So we are in our studio in Sutton Coldfield with lovely warm velvet curtains behind us. Uh, you might just be able to tell it is actually quite sunny here today, although still cold, which is a bit weird, but there you go. Today I am wearing, what do I look like? I have got silvery grey hair with a floppy fringe today. I've got blue eyes behind no rimmed black armed glasses. And I'm going to remember to say it today before Josh makes me take it out because he can't deal with the fact that I'm an old punk. I am, in fact, wearing a hooped earring with a gold cross on it. There, I remembered now. And below that assemblage of jewelry, I am wearing underneath a black t-shirt, round neck t-shirt, but over the top of that, um, for the first time this year, I think maybe the first time on the show, I am wearing a kind of combination sweatshirt, which is a denim jacket body, but with sweatshirt sleeves and a sweatshirt hood in very dark blue. And actually blue tracky trousers, which make me look like a circus master with a yellow stripe down the side. So there you go.
I don't know about that, but I think it is very spring like. And coming up later, we've got poems from the Pop Up Poetry Club on the theme of spring. So there you are. It was lovely and sunny here earlier, but now it's not. So, with you in your West Midlands studio is.
Hi, I'm Josh Surgeoner. I'm a PhD student and Together Unlocked host. I have rather long blonde hair that when I scooched in slightly, betrayed me and all ended up in my mouth, which was fun. I also have black frame glasses and I'm wearing a white sweatshirt that says 2017 School Games on it because I was a coach there. And then also, which you might see, you might not be able to see because they're white headphones on a white sweatshirt. But sticking out of the top of my sweatshirt, there are a pair of headphones. Because, like all good students and athletes, if you stick your phone in your pocket and run your headphones up your t-shirt, it's harder for them to fall out when you're walking around. So there we go.
Never knew that. So what do I look like? I've got a self-styled hennaed corona crop, mercifully hidden under a grey trilby because I've decided this is the year of the hat, since it's clearly going to be the second year of the homemade haircuts. I've got light olive skin, green eyes behind black plastic glasses, mostly silver coloured jewellery, but round my neck I have well, it is a pewter and turquoise ammonite design, and I've got a kind of turquoisey dark green, sort of flecked with a bit of orange and white, long sleeved t shirt. Behind us, you can see a bit of the Together 2012 graffiti banner. If you're looking at this show via our website, you'll see the whole banner pop up on several occasions. It's got images on it of all of the different arts activities we cover in the course of a year, from photography, filmmaking, dance, drama, live music, poetry, of course, visual arts, craft, circus art, street art, and indeed more. What we do as an organisation, well, effectively two things. We run disabled led arts events, exhibitions, performances, screenings, talks, and anything else you can think of, parades, other kinds of performances. And those are led by disabled artists for everybody, and that is entirely free, as is everything we do. And for disabled people, we also offer a year round outreach program, which is our clubs program. And the clubs operate every week apart from bank holidays, and we take a 3 week break over Christmas. So, again, the clubs are free. They're open on weekday mornings, on Tuesday and Friday mornings on Zoom from 11 to 12. We have Art Club. We'll be telling you a bit more about that on Friday. On a Wednesday morning, we have the Pop Up Poetry Club, and we're going to tell you more about that in a little bit. And on Mondays, once a month, we have a Screen Dance Club, which we talked a bit about on Monday. And we also have a Photographers and Filmmakers Club. And finally, just to flag up on the clubs, we have a Professional Development Club. If you're a professional, semi professional student, or just an aspiring disabled artist, get in touch. We can give you one to one support with career development. And in a minute, I'm going to pop up our address on the bottom of the screen, but info at Together 2012 will always find us, and all of our contact information is on our website, www.together2012.org.uk. I'm going to leave out the audio description of the teddy bear for now and say we will come back to that with the Clockwork Paralympics after 3:30. So finally, Julie, who are you? What do you look like?
Hi, I'm Julie Newman. I look a bit like a layabout today, I think.
I thought artist, darling.
Oh, yes,
artist.
artist. I look like an artist, that's for sure. I have my much loved green knitted beanie on the top with a little crocheted bouquet on the side. I have dark rimmed glasses. I have orange, sort of goldy, silvery hair sticking out from underneath my beanie. And a bit like Josh, I just hate it when that long hair gets in your mouth and you're just not used to it. And you think, tuh, tuh, that's horrible.
And yet I offer to take the dog's clippers to her hair just like I do mine, and she says no.
Thankless.
Yeah. Dad keeps offering to cut mine, and I keep very kind of reassuring no, and there's no kind of thought. There's no 50-50. It's a hard no. It's probably the same, Julie.
I'm right there with you, Josh.
Yeah.
You and me, we form an alliance on this one. I have my best green shirt on over a long sleeved grey t-shirt at the moment.
Well, I think you look very artist-like. It's a shame your studio's just down the road and you've not been allowed to go there for a year, but still.
Oh yes. Now, what I was going to say to you is I have identified the start of our own personal lockdown, which was the 12th of March last year. You anticipated the nation by a week.
As did
What?
Josh, in fact.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
can we say? This is why we are bringing you together unlocked now. And I just want to announce, so you dear viewers hear it first, in a week's time, that's going to be the very last episode of Together Unlocked. It will be our last episode before Easter, but we will be back with a new weekly show on Fridays called Something for the Weekend. Our funding runs out as the official lockdown comes to an end on the 29th of April, but from now on we will be doing our best to just continue to bring you a live stream anyway. We don't really expect vaccination to make a huge difference to our lives for another 12 months on account of the fact that infection rates are still so high. Variants are coming. There is a very difficult winter ahead forecast with respiratory infections and flu epidemics. So we will be continuing online and based at home for the vast majority of the following year. So, like I say, you've got another week to continue watching Together Unlocked. And then we'll be back after Easter with all of the best bits rolled into one show, something for the weekend. But I know, Robin, you can't wait till the weekend. You've got something to tell us about Drake Music Project.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is something for Thursday, in fact, as in tomorrow. So Drake Music is an arts organization, a music organization that's been around for a couple of decades at least. I mean, it may be much longer than that. I mean, I first did some work with them, yeah, probably approaching 20 years ago. I'm actually training their trainers from the equality side of it and inclusion. Um, but essentially, Drake Music is a project that creates and delivers participative music opportunities for disabled people. As a very, very broad uh, description of what it considers disabled people to be, very much like our own. Probably slightly tighter. I don't know. I don't want to, make promises on their behalf, but they do. They do a huge amount of work in using electronic music equipment as the basis for being able to deliver workshops that almost everybody can take part in some way. Lots of adaptive equipment. They have access to one-handed instruments, for example, as well. Lots of things that, for example, you can operate by blowing or using your mouth to make them work. Kits that are operated by feet where they would normally be operated by hands, all kinds of stuff like that. Um, and they run courses and kind of ongoing ensembles, I guess, really kind of projects so they run them as both kind of like term timey schedules in lots and lots of different places. And then they also have specific projects. I know, for example, they did a big project with Birmingham Philharmonic Orchestra. No, CBO, yeah, Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, isn't it? A few years ago, where they brought in musicians from the orchestra to collaborate and then perform with members of the Drake Music Project.
So
And
what
then
are you doing tomorrow?
so tomorrow, so they over the last recent months, year or so, they actually offered a number of commissions for artists to kind of development opportunities for artists to hone some skills and then with creative time involved within that. And then tomorrow at 2:30 they have a listening party called New Currents, which is quite interesting. And what they're doing is they are showcasing, I think, four of the well, all, I guess, all of the commissionees, and I think it's four who've been working on this year's commissions, and they will be introducing them as artists at the and what they've created. So there's a listening party from 2:30 till 4. And then linked to that, there is an industry kind of webinar following that, and then a live event later in the evening. Again, I will forward the information on this, so it can be in the highlights and links page
Yeah,
later on.
I was just going to flag that up. So on our website, under the main Together Unlocked TV page, there's a linked page. It's also in the pull down menu for Together Unlocked TV called Highlights and Links. So we'll put links to everything with more information that we do today. We'll also be putting any poems, videos, and photos up. So that's the Together Unlocked TV page on www.together2012.org.uk. We'll have all of those details. And it's also because on Monday we looked at the UN World Water Day, which apparently is always on the 22nd of March, not like some of these weeks and things that move around. And we talked about the place of water as a subject for art and water within art and poetry about art. But today it's UN, well, is it World TB Day? Is that the exact name? And the theme this year is time is ticking. You know, trying to get people to understand that TB is still a very big problem out there. It's the cause of a huge amount of disability and poor health internationally, but also in the UK it's becoming more and more resistant to antibiotics, which raises spectres of, you know, future epidemics and even pandemics with antibiotic resistant TB. There's a lot of TB, relatively speaking, for the UK in East London. So it's always been a local issue. And of course, things like spitting, you know, all these things can spread it. People aren't so aware. So yeah, I think this time is ticking theme, they also wanted to point out that the fight against TB has been set back years by COVID-19 because so much has been redirected, from vaccination programs to healthcare workers, has all been redirected towards the pandemic. And I mean, Julie, we were talking earlier, weren't we? And as I said, you know, often in the UK, we think of TB as being a historic issue, and we don't appreciate how much it affects families in other parts of the world today. But it had a huge impact on your mother's family, didn't it? Not so long ago.
Completely decimated it. TB historically is a disease. Well, actually, currently as well, is a disease which is linked to poverty and overcrowding. So you often find it in jails, for example, or refuges or places where immigrants are held. My family was hit. My grandmother died of it in the late 30s, and her daughter, my mum's sister, my aunt, also died of it age 17. My grandfather also died of a lung disease, pleurisy, but it was never diagnosed as TB. But you grow up in that sort of family. You grow up with an awareness that TB is a killer.
And your mother lost her mother as a child, didn't she?
Yeah, my
because of
mum was
TB?
10. Yeah, and she was one of 5. And she also lost her dad quite well, I think slightly before she lost her mum. So great granny came over from Dublin and looked after everybody. But I mean, the bottom line is that this is a preventable disease. It's possible to immunize against it. Public health is always so low down on the list of priorities for allocation of money. And the World Health Organization has taken this very, very seriously, particularly over the last year, and making sure that the figures of the current deaths and infections is available, because internationally, everybody has to look again at public health and the remit for public health. And I know today there was an announcement from this government in this country about somebody who's going to be sort of heading up a new public health awareness. And you think, for goodness sake, that's what public health has been around for a long time doing.
I mean, oh, sorry, Julie.
No, it's all right.
No,
All
go
right.
ahead.
I was gonna say. I mean, I think that one of the issues is it doesn't have that profile, and it doesn't have the insistence or persistence in trying to convince people that they should be inoculated. So this week we've had, actually no, it was the end of last week, we had letters back from school for triple boosters, but it rather than kind of delivering it as we really think you should have this, it's good for you, it's good for the community, blah, you know, kind of making it that way. It focuses on, of course, this is a choice. It's you. We can't make you have it, and no, they can't. And I, you know, there we should have freedoms. But if they, yeah, the way that it's almost like, well, have it, and it'll be great, or don't, and because that's a choice. And I think that we need to change that
Well,
reflection.
yes, because it's about understanding what you're choosing. And it's just like COVID-19. There's going to be generations now who go, oh, yes, my mum was a child. They lost their elder sister. They lost their parents. They lost their grandfather to COVID-19, but that is also TB. So we'll leave it there. But we really wanted to raise awareness. I mean, I haven't seen World TB Day getting the profile today that it should have done. And at the same time, I've seen these horrible headlines about the success of vaccination being due to greed and capitalism. And I'm thinking, I've never met a rich scientist or a rich health worker, and yet the success of the vaccination program has been down to them. So, thank you again, scientists and health workers. I'm afraid capitalists, you really had absolutely nothing to do with it apart from possibly now messing up the supply chain. So, moving swiftly on, thank goodness spring has arrived, and that is the subject of today's Pop Up Poetry Club. So, Julie, tell us a bit for anybody who's new to the Pop Up Poetry Club how it operates.
The Pop-Up Poetry Club happens every Wednesday morning at 10:30. We have an engagement support worker, Noel, who calls people in advance, and we provide telephone calls for free, so nobody has to worry about paying for their own calls. And so, effectively, what happens is that Noel has been given your name, or you give him your name, and he phones you. You wait at 10:30. We all start. The session is led by Alison Marchant, international artist, who sets the theme for each week. Each week, it's a different theme. There's a core group of between 10 and 12, effectively, who are participating. And so the first half of the session is taken up with people reading out poems that they've found or written that are linked into the theme in some way, if possible. Otherwise, things that have caught their interest in the week. And then at 11 o'clock, we all finish the phone call and go off and write or finish poems that others have started, that perhaps some of us have started on the theme. So today's theme was spring.
Brilliant. Could we hear yours first?
You could, yeah, for sure. Spring. Step softly into the morn of spring. Don't rush or tread without thought. The grass is green, and buds will bring the flowers that follow, but 'twill be for naught if the plants are trampled underfoot. The days are longer, once dark, now light. The songs of hungry sparrows wake the dawn, and shadows flee the shortening nights. Now be still and listen, the harsh winds have gone, and the world awakens from the winter sleep. Pause a while, let the gentle hand of Mother Earth work her magic. The lambs will start their joyful dance, their world is complete, warm and happy, full of mirth as they hop and skip, every step and prance a testament to their love of life. Don't rush the summer heat to come so fast. Stop a while and relish the fresher morn. The buds so fragile will strengthen, and at last our world will fill with colours deep and born from the chill cold earth below.
Oh, thank you, Julie. We say the same thing every week, don't we? We don't know how you managed to write it, let alone in the time. This is a short poem from Dawn Barber called Sing to Spring. It's spring, let's all sing. Daffodils and blossom, the sun shining on us, and people smiling more on their faces. The sky is lovely and blue. I love the summer, it gives me more hope and joy to face the world. I hope our summer will be a beautiful one that gives love to everyone. Thank you, Dawn. And of course, that's the thing, isn't it? You see the first bit of spring and you instantly also see the summer coming. I think you've got quite a dark poem there from Angus Mackenzie Davey, haven't you, Robin?
He's just finding it in the document.
Ah, here we go. Yes. So this is from Angus. This is called The Spring. The season fixed, cast in stone, cannot be changed, written in blood and birth. The line is the same ingrained text, lengthening every day in spring. The odds are on you breaking down, not escaping the door set as a trap. The abyss that waits beneath your feet sits grinning, waiting for you to fall.
I kind of like that balance because I think most of the rest are probably quite happy ones. Julie, you've got one from Alison Marchant, who is our club's program leader. All of our team, including ourselves, are part time, so we're also able to continue with our own artistic practice, which is how Alison can be an international artist and also our club's program leader.
Alison wrote Spring. Cherry blossoms are shedding their petals, strewing the path as if for a wedding. The hazel blooms in a thread of crimson hue. Whitethorn leaf appears in view. The wood pigeon claps its wings. Primroses burn yellow. Under old trees are the shadows of young leaves. The budding twigs spread out like small fans.
Oh, thank you, Julie. And I've got one next from Crystal Peasy, which is called The Spring. The spring season is now. It's the most pleasant, king of all the seasons in the UK. In the springtime, I like to wear my favourite bright colour. In spring, the bright colours bring out the colour of my face. The spring season also brings out the cuckoo bird singing. It has a sweet and melodious voice. The people start to wear bright clothes after the long period of the winter season. In spring, there's beauty all around. It makes the mind creative and gives the body energy to start new work with full confidence. And thank you for that, Crystal. And I think that's very true. There's nothing like a lovely, bright, sunny morning, as I thought at 7:30 when the dog woke me up. And then, like you say, it became kind of completely dark and miserable by about 11 o'clock. You have one, don't you, Josh, from Blake Jarrett Gibbons?
I do indeed, and this is called the spring season. Sorry, right. Grass is growing again. Trees are starting to show leaves as the daylight hours increase again. You could say things are springing into life when the nature is starting to show all her colours. More daylight hours, more time to walk the dog, more friends for him, less muddy puddles, more chance to be able to swim in the lakes, just not in the canals. More time out with nature in daylight, more time to detox and calm for one's mental health. Does the spring season help me spring into life? It gives me more of a nice push into the next chapter. Life is rolling on and will hopefully become less gloomy and more colourful. Mother Nature, as you spring and start to shine your colours and life through, can you help me do the same with mine?
Like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you. So this is from Pies and Malloc, Spring. Gently I draw the curtain, which I bought from Brixton. From the middle first to the right, I see outside is clear and bright. One side is good enough to give the light. As the cold is still around, I left the other side unwound. Yes, oh yes, spring is emerging. Come on, it's time to dance and sing. I just can't wait to go out, to walk and skip about, to sniff the sweet smell of the daffodils, white and yellow around the mills, along the canal and waterways, with cherry blossoms dropping and sprays all over myself from head to toe. It's full of fun like there's no tomorrow. Thank you, Pizer. And finally, from Taylor Henville, who's also one of our volunteers.
Yes, indeed. Taylor says, Spring is here. Spring is here. Can you hear the birds singing? It's a signal to the world for a new beginning. Can you see the sun poke their head out from behind the mist? And tentatively shine a warm smile, easing the wind to a gentle breeze. Can you see the daffodils burst through their soil coffin like arms grasping for the sky. And can you see the animals that hid from the cold? They now roam freely in the green. Spring is here. Can you hear the birds cheering?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again to everybody from the Pop Up Poetry Group. I think that was the best collection of poems we've had yet. It was obviously a subject that really touched people's hearts. And I think all of ours, spring is coming, lockdown is over soon. It may not make a huge amount of difference to those of us who couldn't leave our houses independently in the first place and are also still very vulnerable, but it certainly really cheers you up. So I've got a couple of photographs now from spring out in my backyard. Sorry, Julie.
I don't know if I said the theme for next week.
I didn't let you have a chance. So yes,
beg your
if
pardon.
you'd like to join in from home, and we'd love to see your poems if you do, but obviously that's not compulsory. What's next week's theme, Julie?
Flowers.
Ah, even better. Yes, since the beginning of Together Unlocked, almost 12 months ago now, we have been having a virtual nature watch, a sort of semi-serious, semi-humorous slot where, because we're not able to go out ourselves, we send the dogs out with cameras to show us what the outside world looks like. We had many months, certainly that's how it seemed, many months of reporting from my small backyard with Julie's assistance dog, Precious, with a camera. And more recently, we've enjoyed seeing the seasons change in the Norfolk woods with Merlot, Staroplerge's assistance dog, because they were able to move from Shielding in East London out into literally the middle of nowhere. Unfortunately, Hannah isn't too well today, so we say get well soon, Hannah, and thank you so much again for all of the pictures of the bulbs coming up in the woods. I didn't have time to ask Julie to send Precious out into the yard, and of course, the weather is not great by the time we would have done it. But I've just taken a few, I think there's 4 very quick photos, which I also think probably show up better as stills. I'm just going to pop one on screen. And for anybody who can't see it, this is a close-up of a freesia bud in bright red with a yellow centre. And this is a bulb that I don't remember planting and has been coming up every year in the pots around my kitchen for about 20 years. And it generally has sort of 1 or 2 buds. It's just like one little spray, but I always know spring is here. And then this is not a very good close-up because they are past their best, but I just wanted to show you that they were all coming up, and that's some purple crocuses. And then this looks like a daffodil, but in fact it is a mini narcissus. So it's much smaller than it looks on the screen. But again, I've had about a week or 2 weeks, these little guys have been coming up. And then finally, the bushes, the flowering shrubs, I should say, are beginning to blossom as well. So I wasn't able to get any quick snaps of the forsythia, which is coming out in bright yellow, but this is the laurel, which has had these red buds, which look great against the sort of yellow and green leaves. And again, that's been flowering for about a week now.
I think you're more advanced in your I was going photography as well, but that wasn't what I was going to say. Your
Flower knowledge.
the budding. Yeah, I think just that 150 miles or further south of whatever it is that you are, we've got snowdrops and a few kind of, maybe they're the mini narcissus or daffodils, but only just starting to come through now.
I've actually got some tulips coming through. And I think the other thing I was going to say is I haven't had a chance to plant bulbs in my garden, or I should say yarden, because it's only about 20-foot square. But yes, I haven't been able to plant bulbs in my garden for years because it's just so difficult. You know, it's like everything. But like everybody else, having had more time to garden and more time to put my energy into the house, I think I finally, either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, I put these bulbs in, which I'd bought about 3 months beforehand, but still hadn't got around to. So it's been a real joy to see them coming up. You know, there's always been a few, like the freesia, that's been there for 20 years, and some Dutch hyacinths that are still waiting to come up through the gravel. But all of the ones in the pots, I'm like, oh, I planted them and they grow. So I think lots of people are going to be experiencing that little thrill for the first time. Going forward, we are going to keep Nature Watch in our something for the weekend schedule, but we would love to see your nature. You know, we don't just want to keep trundling around so we can see through the dog's eyes what's going on, although don't worry, we'll still have some pet cam footage. But if you've got blossom coming out, flowers coming out, I mean, Blossom Watch is just beginning again. I think we touched on this briefly on Monday, talking about photography and filmmaking. And it's a Japanese tradition where they have blossom festivals. And this year, Japan has done their best to cancel them. But I think it's National Trust that started Blossom Watch. And hashtag Blossom Watch, if you just put your photos on social media, or if you go through social media, you don't have to have an account. You can just look at Twitter on the internet and just put in Blossom Watch. You will see the blossom beginning to come out, first of all, in the microclimate that is East London, and then everywhere else. Yeah, I spent 18 months in Cornwall in the 90s, and I couldn't believe how cold it was, having been told it was the warmest place in the UK, because nowhere is warmer than Newham year round. So have you done any nature photography with the things that are coming up? Because we had some great shots from Josh last year.
There isn't really enough of anything to take a photo of yet, to be honest.
I mean, I was going to say, I mean, sorry, Josh.
No.
As we've mentioned, we have some building work going on, so we have brickwork springing up, rather than, which is less colourful, but but not less exciting at this point of time.
And do you have exciting plans to cover it with a flowering creeper or anything when you've finished your studio?
No, we are having it's going to be in logs, so it's going to have a rustic feel, which we can then decorate.
That's what we like to do. So we will move on again from that. But like I say, we would love to see your nature pictures and anything else you're doing as you're out and about. I mean, we had some wonderful prints last year that we showed you from an artist called Tim Body, who'd been doing all sorts of prints with vegetable juice. So anything to do with art and nature, let us know. And of course, we will be continuing in our Friday stream going forward to have the Clockwork Paralympics. But for those of you who are new, the Clockwork Paralympics take place every week. And again, it started off, I think, really pretty much as a joke, but very much on the basis there was no real sport to watch. And that has changed, but not hugely. But I think we might carry on with the Clockwork Paralympics anyway. So we race toys to find out whose teddy bear is going to be allowed to wear a medal for the next week. We put our teddy bears on the set to take part in something called Bear Hunt, which, if you're not a parent of an under 10, is going to mystify you. But the Michael Rosen book, Bear Hunt, has, I think, spawned a whole load of bear hunts anyway. And the idea is that if children are out exercising, they're able to see teddy bears in windows, and it just makes their life a bit more fun. And virtual bear watch, you stick them as we have on the live stream. So I have brought back Tony, who is our nautical teddy bear. He's a little sort of beige bear with a blue sweater on saying skipper, a red spotted bow tie, and a captain's hat. And he decided he wanted to come back because it was UN Water Day, because Julie was actually quite keen that the previous bear had another week attempting to wear a medal. So who is your what non-teddy teddy have you got for us this
I'll
week?
have you know that this is Mariella, the minxie monkey bear. She will argue she is a monkey bear.
Okay, I can't say, I can't deny it. Can you audio describe her? Because
Oh, indeed. So,
small.
continuing our vein of particularly petite, cuddly toys, bears. This is a light brown, kind of tan colored monkey with a great big smile on her face. And her face is a kind of sandy yellow with really, really big eyes. And the irises are a sparkly purple. I'm not sure that is going to. Oh, actually, if I get it right, you might see that
Yes, now we can
sparkliness.
see it.
Yes.
Put it
And
above.
indeed, she has pink inside ears, just like me.
I'll just move swiftly on
Let's
at that point. So, if you want to play at home, you need, before I put the video on, to choose a right side of the screen or a left side of the screen. In the West Midlands, are you choosing the right side or the left side?
The left side today.
And we're going to pop it on. Josh is going to do some audio description. I should just say to anybody who watches regularly, when Josh says orange books in the background, what he means is there's a whole load of books on different bookshelves going up. More of them are orange than anything else. And that's actually part of my vintage girls' school story collection. So it's shelves of vintage books. But I was looking at it the other day thinking, actually, most of them don't have orange covers at all. And does it sound like they're books about oranges? So just so we can focus on the sport, I'm going to pop this up now. Josh will do the rest of the audio description and then I'll put the race on.
So we are back on the landing. We've got green banisters with a wood, with a rope edging, I guess. Blue mosaic tiles, a green bookshelf that has lots of colours of books on them. There are some blue ones as well. And a orange and lettered print cat bed as well in the far back right hand corner. So we've got green on the left, orange on the right, and they will be underway shortly, hopefully. I'm not sure if there's.
Yep,
Oh,
here we
there
go. Go green. Go green. Oh,
So orange is coming across. Green started out fairly straight, but he's starting to curve slightly. But orange definitely had a better start, but we appear to be having some
we've got a frozen video here.
skipping at this end, so we're not entirely sure what's happening. But orange certainly looks more energetic than green. So
Depends which one finishes first.
and they are now out of shot, so we'll have to await the ruling from the London end to find out.
Did you not see the end of the video where I was just holding up the orange
No.
one?
No, it froze a number of times.
Let me stick it back on for you.
But we can tell by Julie's reaction.
I'm just going to see.
Yep, there we go.
There we go.
Congratulations, London. It's about time.
And if you want to play that again at home, it will be on the highlights and links page. Yes, we just have one gold plastic medal given out by the mayor in London 2012 to various residents. It must be a shame when you have such a huge household full of real medals not to be able to get rid of one this week. But still, Tony the teddy bear is very happy.
The victor.
So shall we move on at that point and go back to the Paralympians for some real sports reports?
We can indeed. I'm just going to pull up so I remember what I'm talking about. Uh, so first thing, we'll do sport first to follow on from the clockwork. There's something we've talked about over the last 3 weeks, I think. If the kind of will they, won't they, of having fans in Tokyo. So it was announced on, it might have come out on Sunday, I think, but Sunday or Monday, that indeed kind of international fans, international spectators won't be allowed in, at least at the moment, to Tokyo, just because that is kind of one of the many things that they've got to put in place to ensure that it's a kind of safe environment for the athletes and the staff and things like that. And it's a difficult decision. And I think everyone kind of understands why that decision was made, but it's still such a blow for the fans, for the athletes as well. It's a huge shame and a huge disappointment, but unfortunately, it's kind of what has to be done at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about this till now, but looking at the cultural programs associated with the Paralympics and the Olympics, and of course, it's the Paras we're really interested in. That was a massive opportunity for disabled artists in particular to have a world audience. And I think that's another of the impacts. I was sort of saying blithely last week, you can get a better picture on the TV, which is true. But if you're a Japanese artist who'd been looking forward to a world audience, then knowing you've got the same old domestic audience, which probably also means the budget will get cut somewhere along the line, I don't think that's a very nice thing. They were organising, in fact, a Paralympic World Art Cup, and that went ahead last year rather than being postponed. But it just gives you some idea of the cultural and arts programs that were expected to be. And I mean, I'm guessing that international photographers can go because it's work. But again, I think there's also a huge number of people who are sort of semi-professional photographers and so on who would have just gone and hoped for the best from their seats who won't get that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, you might get a better picture at home, but you don't get the atmosphere is one thing. But in terms of the photographers,
Actually, I think that was my point, that the atmosphere for the London 2012, we were residents, but trying to access London 2012, every venue had a different nightmare. So yeah, it was the atmosphere. We were also saying, as a plus, you also get to avoid the atmosphere. I think if you're one of the athletes in the village, it's a very, very different issue. But if you're a disabled person trying to get across long distances or trying to explain that somebody's deaf and they shouldn't be physically ejected from the viewing box, or trying to stop people slapping you on the back with those huge horrible hands, and I can't bear to think about it. So let's say I'm not worried about not being able to go to Tokyo, but
I think that's not
I would have liked the culture.
Yeah, I think it's different though, because bad experiences aside, one, as someone that likes sport, I love being at live sport, but also the effect that has on
Wimbledon,
it has on the athletes kind of competing in an empty arena is really, it's really, really difficult, because you don't have that kind of the adrenaline, the things that come along with something like the Olympics, the scale and the size of the Olympics isn't going to be
at
there.
the moment, they reckon they will fill the stadiums with domestic audiences. They still think they'll sell all the tickets. And I think that's probably right. When you look at the huge demand for London 2012, I think they will sell all the tickets.
I think it'll be good for local people as well to be able to get access to the stadium, because one of the difficulties that we had was, as local people, it was a bit of a lottery. However, having said that, I was in the stadium when Johnny Peacock was running, and my goodness, the resonating all around the stadium of those many people shouting "Johnny, Johnny, Johnny" was something that I don't think I'll ever forget.
Mind you could have heard that anywhere in the borough. You didn't actually need a
It's
ticket.
true. It's
Yeah,
true.
you know, it's
No,
the
I
same as kind of
don't get
going
me wrong.
to.
I love live sport when it's genuinely accessible, but I don't find events on that scale with that number of volunteers involved, going to something like Wimbledon, which is something we've really enjoyed, as a sort of novice to live sport, I've seen enough now to know what I find accessible and what sort of atmospheres I really enjoy and what I think are just totally geared to non-disabled under 50s. And that's just not me. So what have we got in gaming?
So there's two things in gaming. One is there is an event tomorrow night called I'm going to read this off so I can get it right. The Future Games Show Spring Showcase, which is harder to say than you'd think. um, and apparently it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a showcase of kind of new and upcoming games. Apparently there's going to be kind of updates on things that might have kind of already been released or teased, kind of absolutely new releases, that kind of no one's, things that people didn't know about, and it's like, oh, we're making this, and then while there's things that have kind of been announced but there's nothing being shown about it, there'll be kind of, world debuts of trailers or gameplay footage and things like that. So it sounds quite interesting. I was reading, I think it says going to be about 40 different games that are going to be part of it. So it sounds like it's going to be quite a
That's
decent
a lot
chunk of stuff.
games, isn't it?
And there's kind of different hosts and special guests and people like that. So it's live streamed. It's tomorrow night. It's 9:45 tomorrow evening GMT. Especially it's a US based thing, so it's kind of midday there, but it's kind of 9:45 tomorrow night. And it's been streamed on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and the Games Radar website. So I think Games Radar are the people that are running it. They're a magazine or online magazine that do gaming stuff. So I think it's kind of their event. So obviously they're streaming it on their own website as well as all these kind of other platforms. So there's a link. There'll be a link on the highlights and links that's kind of tells you a little bit more about what it is and kind of who some of the guests are and what to expect. But then it also has links to each of those. So however you choose to watch it, there are links to all of those different options kind of within the article that's linked as well. And then the other one was a BBC Sounds show or BBC Sounds podcast called Press X to Continue, which is something I never heard about. And I saw it through a Formula One post. One of the drivers, a lot of the younger drivers do computer gaming when they're not racing. But he was talking about on the most recent episode how he thinks that his gaming brings more fans into the sport because they learn about him and his personality through watching him play computer games. And like, oh, I'll go and check out his real life job or his racing career job, which was quite interesting. But it kind of brought me to this podcast called Press X to Continue. And they've got all sorts of kind of celebrity guests. So obviously there's this Formula One driver that was on the most recent one. They've had a few of the England cricket team were on. I've had Matt Horn on, who was Gavin and Stacey. So then they've had kind of big name or fairly popular British name celebrities, and just kind of chatting about games and computer games and which games are worth buying. And it sounds I never listened to it, so it might be pants, but I'm gonna give it a try because it sounds interesting from the description. So I'm gonna kind of give it a try and
where
see.
do we get to that again?
So it's on BBC Sounds. So
Oh,
the link just
BBC
takes you directly
Sounds.
to the list of episodes.
Because you always recommend BBC Sounds, don't you? And in fact, we've talked about it on Update before. We've just been joined in terms of audio description by one of the two small tabby cats currently living here. This one is called Jinx, also for reasons lost in the mists of time, known as Dolly. Oh, yes, I don't know what to say about our cats at the moment. I've put it on our social media account earlier, so actually I'll pop this few seconds of video up on the highlights and links page too, and you can find out about all of the animals that live with all of the different people that contribute to this stream on the same pull down and linked menu under Together Unlock TV. There is one called Animal Hosts. But I didn't get a chance to tell you at the sound check. I was sitting here getting the show ready just after 1 o'clock, heard the lift coming up into the studio from the office, and thought, oh my goodness, Julie's brought me a cup of coffee. Isn't that brilliant of her? And then as the lift came through the floor, I saw this black and white cat, and I thought, oh, it must be sitting on Julie's lap. And ever since an unfortunate incident where the black and white cat really fell out quite badly with this one here, Julie's cats have pretty much stayed in the office, my cats stay in the studio, and the dogs have the rest of the house so that everybody's happy. But no, as the lift came up, I realised both Julie's cats were sitting on the pull-down seat. There was nobody else in the lift, and this lift rose through the floor with them just sort of sitting there. So in the bit of video that I took, once my jaw had kind of collected and I'd gone back and seen what they were doing, they were sort of all over the place looking around the studio because they don't often get up here unless they've managed to break out of the office. But it was just hilarious. And yeah, they'd got in, they'd pressed the up button, they sat there. I have never seen anything like it. Fortunately, there's a key. So now when Julie takes the lift down or I take the lift down, we're going to lock it off. Because once they've discovered how to do it once, I just said on the tweet, life's never going to be the same again. We thought we'd seen it all because a cat that often invades this stream is the youngest cat, Leo. And Leo came to us, I think, almost about 2.5 years ago. He was a victim of a heat wave and he was found straying with 3rd-degree burns to all 4 paws. And although he'd got a collar on, nobody ever claimed him. And he wasn't very mobile for quite a long time. So I don't know whether this has got something to do with it, but he loves riding on top of the lift because it's a 3-floor lift, disability lift. So this panel comes up out of the floor. He rushes over as soon as he hears the lift going, gets himself on the panel so that he can surf up to the top. And of course, that meets a motor with almost no gap. So many's the video that we've put on social media where Julie is sitting, sort of smiling through the floor, halfway up, halfway down, sending me texts going, come and call the cat, or remembering to take little treats. So she, but now, so we've got 2 using the lift inside and 1 riding up on top of it.
I was thinking, and I think I said it on the tweet, I didn't know whether to be horrified or proud. And I think I'm going for proud. I'm quite proud of my little bears. They're quite ingenious, really.
Well, when I stopped laughing, I was horrified. But no, I'm afraid I'm not proud at all of that. But I think perhaps we should leave it there and tell you what we're going to be doing on Friday. As always, we're going to be dressing up to go out to stay in. We've been asking you what you really enjoy about the live stream. And that's one of the things you've told us you enjoy most. So again, as we come back with our show, Something for the Weekend, we will continue to dress up to go out to stay in and encourage you to do the same thing and send us your pictures and videos. This is something that started in New Zealand at the beginning of, well, I should say lockdown 1, but their only real lockdown. And the idea was that they dressed up as if they were going to go to the opera for a formal Friday. We dress up to go out to stay in to do Oh, I'm not knocking opera, but other fun things to do as well, including totally imaginary ones. So we'll be dressing up to go out to stay in. We already recommend something for the weekend. Those are things to do from home, online or offline, mostly for free. And again, we will be continuing to do that on our new show, which is coming up straight after Easter. Also on Friday, we have Art Club, including recycled art with Tracy Surgener and much, much more. So I hope you will join us then, along with various random pets, mostly cats, but also, yeah, 3 assistance dogs also contribute to the success or otherwise of this live stream. So I think there's nothing much more to be said from East London, but goodbye. Thank you for watching. Stay home and stay creative is the best way to stay well. We hope you have a really good week, that things are going well for you, and that you will join us again on Friday.
Okay, and just to say goodbye from the West Midlands, but I'll put the link. I'll send Drew the link for the Drake Music Project to say it is free on Eventbrite. So
Brilliant.
goodbye from us.